Okay, I think how we're going to try and do this is I'll just pick questions out of here, and then whoever on the panel would like to answer them, or all of you answer it. And then if there's some further discussion with whoever's asked the question, I'll give them the mic, and you can have a back and forth a little bit here.
Okay.
Now, this is a very telling question here. Do you tend to see a certain percent interest rate on an angel investment, 6 to 10%?
Well, let Joe handle that.
Well, the question is, do you tend to see a certain percentage interest rate on angel investment? Most of the time, angel investment is not a loan, it's an equity investment. So the investor is looking for a return on equity, as I said in my presentation, with the ultimate sale of the business or an initial public offering. So almost all angel investors, I'm not saying 100%, but 90-odd% would be equity investors.
Correct.
I think we should charge interest too. I think it's great.
Well, there isn't, let me just add to that a little bit. When you get into these deals, and I don't want to go too sophisticated here, there's all kinds of preferences that investors get, on dividends. It can get crazy, but that's not really the purpose of this thing. They like to find ways to ensure that they get their money back first, or they get it back with rights of dividends and things like that. So you have to be really careful, but that's when you get down into the structure of the deal.
As an aside, it's really important to have a good attorney.
Yeah, I didn't want to put in a plug for an attorney, really.
and not just your friend Joe's uncle who happens to have a shingle, somebody who knows something about startups. Bob Cahill, selling commodities, toothpaste, detergent, this is a business idea. Soap via online. Even though toilet paper and dishwasher may not be the sexiest thing to sell about it, it's a commodity that everybody seems to use on a daily basis.
She'll probably give that to Joe, too. No. So what's the question, though? That was the statement.
Is this a viable business, selling commodities like toothpaste and dishwasher detergent online?
Specialty toilet paper?
Specialty toilet paper. It was John Wayne toilet paper. It was rough and tough and didn't take crap off anybody. I don't know what the market for that was, but I seen a roll of it.
Well, I'm not going to add anything to that.
Yeah, let me just add a little bit. I think, look, every question is how that one, there's not enough information to really say, look, what's the proposition, what's their sourcing, how viable is a business like that, because it's just a pricing game. Who can do it the cheapest? Who can buy it the cheapest? Who can distribute it the cheapest? Are you going to really get a site that gets the right attention? It's hard to answer that question. Maybe there's an idea there. I don't know.
If I were doing it, I would do it the John Wayne toilet paper way. I'd come up with some gimmick like that, because that's the only way to differentiate yourself. Otherwise, you're just a little toothpaste maker or toilet paper, in this case. And at least that's funny, and so you may actually sell some.
Mark Snyder, his question is, besides your group, are there others who are supporting growth in the Valley?
Well, I don't know. That's, besides this group. I hope to, and I believe Dan and Joe do too, to expand this group and get other people to give up their time and their expertise, because there's a wealth of expertise that lives in the Valley. Some of it part-time. All of us are full-time, but some of it part-time, and I'd like to grab them during their periods of time that they're here and get them to give up their time in a manner similar to this.
And just as a note, besides a number of angels, there is the Frontier Angel Fund, which is out of Kalispell, which is a fairly active group of angel investors. Mm-hmm. And there is in Bozeman a venture capitalist, Good. John O'Donnell.
Looks like there probably is. They're probably doing something.
They don't have a angel fund though yet. Don LeBeau, this is an idea. iPhone app to track Christmas gifts. Starts with a list of people and proposed gifts. Lets you search online or local stores for gifts. Tracks which are bought, wrapped, mailed, or hidden. Also tracks your budget for each person. You know the state of every gift, even when you buy them months ahead. Core competency is software development, ease of use design, value equation. A $5 app that entangles the Christmas mess is a bargain, given free for the first 3 people.
I think the competition to that plan is the one that does the wedding registry, where you can go in and do the same thing. There's a lot of those going around. All the big department stores have them, so I can't see why they wouldn't get into that same business if it became viable. So you're just going to generate more competitors. I don't know how you differentiate yourself there.
So my comment would be similar. iPad apps, unless you're Angry Birds, doesn't actually, sell a whole lot. I mean, the one, if you notice, the ones that are the top apps are things like Angry Birds, and they I imagine do make money, but most everything else doesn't make money. The best way to do the businesses are, in my opinion, similar to the comply ideas, where you find a legacy system inside of some industry that isn't working right, and then you help make it work better with current technology, and then give a great return or value proposition for the customer. And then you can charge lots of money for your effort in doing the software.
Yeah, and I would just add, I think when it comes to apps, in the sense of this idea is considering, that's, in some respects, I think that's more of a cottage industry. It doesn't make it bad, but it also means it's very low cost of entry. An individual can sit down and with the right idea, and take the software development tools that are provided to them from Android and Apple, and do something, and you never know. It may click, but it's probably not a big investment business, but it's likewise probably not a big risk business either.
And I know I've talked to guys that do write apps, and there's a process for getting approved to get into the Apple Store, which can be worse than a VC engagement at times. So it's a challenge, and you need to do your research before you jump into it.
I'm kind of surprised at the effect the internet's had on certain industries as far as making things that traditionally were specialized into commodities, like, for example, Blue Nile. We have companies selling high-end jewelry on the internet for prices that, box stores can't compete with. And like I said earlier, I'm in the watch business. See the same thing. People come in, pick out the watch they want, go home, buy it on the internet. And that seems to be a growing effect. Do you share that perspective, and do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I were in your shoes, even though you're limited production because you're one, I'd be advertising and promoting on the web, and all the acceptable manners to do that. And then I would be building up this huge backlog, so that your backlog would be 1.5 years, which would then give you a panache that you're so unique and so differentiated that you have a backlog of 1.5 years or more. I definitely would be using the internet. It's a very good tool. It's a way to promote yourself and your product to a nationwide and to a worldwide, actually, audience. Not nationwide, bigger than that.
Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to comment because you asked the question earlier of Rob, but if I was you, I'd go out and hire apprentices like they did in the old days and teach them the business and let them help you build the watches. If they want to later on, go out, but you got a jump start on them. So I would do something like that if I was you. It'd allow you to expand your business once you train these people. The question is, will they ever be able to go out on their own and compete against you? And I think that, you probably could keep an apprentice 3 to 5 years without much of a problem by teaching them the business.
Yeah, let me just add also a different tact on your question with regard to the effect of the internet. I mean, let's face it, we've had enough experience with it now that we know a tremendous amount. There's still a lot more to come, but what it has done is it has undermined the business model of a lot of traditional businesses. Additionally, it's enabled a tremendous number of businesses to get, think about a global reach for what they were doing. So, the net, it's been a bigger benefit to everybody than sure, it's hurt some specific businesses, but they didn't adapt to the change. We have classic examples like Borders, the bookstores, all kinds of businesses have had to rethink their business model in terms of, back to what Rob said, their value added. It might not have been what they thought it was. All of a sudden, this new technology comes along and the rug is pulled out from under them. So I think it's a fact to life, and it's going to get even greater impact on our economy, on society, on the way we do things.
Vans Appliances, they have stores all throughout Montana. Their most active and most profitable store is their online store, and it ships globally.
Isn't that something?
Is it Marcy? Marcy Levin. Her idea is a hospitality management service to revamp, critique, and assist with all areas of restaurant catering outfits. The competency is attention to detail, finding, seeing the niche and trend always, and excellent follow-through with project management. Bingo.
I put down as a resource that Restaurant Impossible. And if you watch that, you can see how really fouled up a lot of restaurants are. And I think you've experienced seeing what people do too. So I think right now there could be a real need for people that could go in and help in a restaurant management, and also to help them convert to a better way of doing business. And I do think it could be a great growth industry.
There's a little hamburger stand in Lincoln that got voted the best hamburger in the United States this year. They had the Today Show there. So there are ways to differentiate yourself.
Yeah, my guess is, I would say, and I'm just thinking out loud here, is, you need to, this is probably classic bootstrapping, and you need to do it, get some traction, prove, hey, I turned this place around, look at what happened, or I help them do that, and then it's another and another, and maybe that becomes something that you can scale. I don't know.
When we were doing the Comply company with Kerry, we had no idea really whether this thing would scale into the airlines, and that was the advice that I gave her, which was, I asked her if she had a customer that was at least listening to her, a prospect that was listening to her, and she said, yeah, it was Republic Airlines. And I said, well, forget everything else, just spend all your time down with Republic. I forget where Republic is. I think they're headquartered in Indianapolis. And she just almost lived in Indianapolis until eventually, they actually just bonded with her, and eventually, I think to get rid of her, it gave her a small contract, and once she got the small contract, we tried to make sure that they adored her and the software, because they would keep asking for more things. And once we managed to get them in the state of complete adoration, they actually started finding other customers for her. They would call, let me give you an example of this is really crazy. They called up Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and said, we want this software Comply to be on the Kindle, because we want the Kindle to be in the cockpit of every plane. And so now all of a sudden, Jeff Bezos' minions, and there are lots of them, are now having meetings with her because they've never allowed the inside of the Kindle to be opened up. So she's on the verge of being the first and only piece of software inside of the Kindle. Find one person that's managing to listen to you, and if you can manage to get them as an account, do an amazing job for them, and then hope that they can leverage off of that. I still do that exact same thing. My Easter seals is the leverage now for Sunflower. And he's introduced me to Amway, or will, Safeway, all these major corporations, and to 500 other nonprofits. So if you make one party interested in what you're doing, if you've got the right party, they basically can network you to an expanse.